ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. First of all, offer my millions of obeisances to lotus feet of Asmade Gurupad Padma Nityala Parikta Jagat Guru Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Tirandi Swami Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Dandi Maharaj Namnishta Santa Shri Aniruddhas Prabhuji and all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis who are gathered here, please accept my humble obeisances. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatamritam, Canto 1, Chapter 7, Text 126. तथापि संभोग सुखादपि स्तुता सकोप्य निर्वाच्य तमो पर मनोरमा प्रमोदराशि परिमाण परिणाम तो ध्रुवम तत्र स्फुरेत् तद् रसिकैक विद्या तथापि संभोग सुखादपि स्तुता सकोपि अनिर्वाच्य तमो मनोरमः प्रमोदराशि परिणाम तो ध्रुवम तत्र स्फुरेत् tad rasikaika vidya. Nevertheless, the effect of that sorrow of separation is far more praiseworthy than the happiness of meeting, because one experiences an indescribable impression of charming bliss. Though there is the sorrow of such separation, viraha dukkha, nevertheless there is certainly an exhilarating moment, spurti of bliss in the end, or a matured condition of that distress. How is that? This is because the effect of that distress is more laudable than the bliss of union, sambhog sukha. Namely, the result of that distress gives more happiness than the happiness of union. If the question comes up as to how that form of bliss is superior to the bliss of union, Shri Bhagavan explains this with the phrase Sakopi in anticipation of the question that such bliss is indescribable to a superlative degree. That is, Brahmananda or merging into the Supreme is inexpressible. Bhajanananda or the bliss of devotional service is even more expressible as it is greater than even Brahmananda. And yet Premananda, the bliss of divine love, is indescribable to a superlative degree because it is even greater than Bhajanananda. Nonetheless, the vigor of the forest fire of separation from one's beloved, Priya Jana, and the sorrow and lamentation generated from that force are indescribable to its superlative degree, because they have reached their ultimate limits. Namely, that greatest happiness arises in the mature stage of the distress of separation. It is most difficult to describe, although that exalted bliss arises from the distress of separation. It is not that it is unbearable, rather, it is extremely charming. Now, if the question arises, how is it possible to experience such happiness in the distress of separation, vira dukkha? In reply, he says that only Rasikas can experience that great bliss in the distress of separation. In other words, only the Mahajanas or great souls who are greedy for Prema Rasa can experience that bliss. No one else can perceive this. Text 127. तशोक दुखो परमस्य पश्चात् चित्तं यथा पूर्णतया प्रसन्नं संप्राप्त संभोग महासुखेन संपन्नवत्तिष्ठति सर्वदैव. The reason is that the mind becomes fully blissful when distress and affliction that arise from separation calm down. So the mind becomes completely content as if it received the happiness of union. If one remarks that in the deepest distress of bewilderment, moha, or death, mrityu, is indeed possible, if one remarks that in the deepest distress of bewilderment, moha, or mrityu, is it indeed possible when intense grief or excessive sorrow matures, that there is a chance of momentary bliss in such a condition, especially according to the pithy logic of after distress comes happiness and after happiness comes distress. Is there even a chance of an onset of bliss after the cessation of affliction and distress arising from separation? How believable is it that a moment of happiness will come at the end of distress or in the mature stage of distress? This is a fact, but one's experience alone is the final proof in this matter. That is, the moment of happiness in the heart of separation from the beloved person, and one's experience is the proof in this matter. Although the reason for that spurti is not explainable. Here he narrates this Tashoka verse to show proof acquired from his own experience. From the sorrow that arises from the grief of separation, the mind that experiences separation, viraha, virahiman, becomes always happy and full of a sentiment opposed to unfulfillment. Namely, it becomes completely free from namely it becomes completely free of any deficiencies. What is the nature of that happiness? It is intensely blissful, like the happiness of union, sambhog, that obtains its desired object. That is, in the absence of union in the heart, there is a sense of deficiency or incompleteness. But it does not remain. Rather, the heart, chitta, becomes even more blissful. The suffix vat in the phrase sampannavat tishtati, it remains as if complete, indicates that factually such a feeling of completeness arises from the distress of separation, not due to the happiness of union, sambhoga sukha. So there is a manifestation of bliss in that condition and therefore it is believable. The internal meaning here is that such happiness is achievable after union with the beloved. Similarly, the cause of such happiness would be recognizable from the symptoms, such as the delight of the heart generated after lamentation when separation calms down, that is, the appearance of momentary bliss must be definitely acceptable from the symptoms of jubilation within the heart, chitta. This is because the exuberance of the mind is impossible in the absence of extreme happiness, and there is no other cause for the manifestation of happiness in the state of separation, vira avastha. Therefore, it is necessary to accept that the manifestation of happiness came from the distress of separation. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpataruvesha kripa sindhavya pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah.